Neighbors and partners, a history of US-Canada trade, the United States and Canada best friends forever? Well, mostly. Sure, we've had our differences. Remember that time Canada burned down the White House? It's true, look it up. But for the most part, we've gotten along, and by gotten along I mean made a ton of money together. For centuries, the United States and Canada have been each other's biggest trading partners. We buy their lumber, they buy our cars, everyone wins. This close economic relationship has created jobs and wealth on both sides of the border, but like any relationship, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. We bicker over softwood lumber. They mock our healthcare system, fair enough. And every now and then things get a little tense. NAFTA. The deal that changed everything, for a while. In 1994, something big happened. NAFTA. The North American Free Trade Agreement was signed, marking a significant moment in the history of international trade. The North American Free Trade Agreement was like a giant group hug for the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It was designed to eliminate barriers to trade and investment between the three countries. It lowered trade barriers, making it easier and cheaper to move goods between the three countries. This meant that businesses could operate more efficiently, and consumers could enjoy a wider variety of products at lower prices. NAFTA was a big deal. It was hailed as a groundbreaking agreement that would bring prosperity and growth to all three nations involved. It led to a massive increase in trade between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Trade volumes soared, and businesses flourished as new markets opened up. It also created jobs and boosted economic growth. Many industries saw a surge in employment opportunities, and the economies of the three countries became more interconnected. But, like that friend who invites too many people to the party, not everyone was thrilled. There were concerns and criticisms from various quarters. Some people argued that NAFTA led to job losses in the United States. They believed that companies moved their operations to Mexico to take advantage of lower labor costs, leaving American workers unemployed. Others said it hurt the environment. They pointed to increased industrial activity and lax environmental regulations in some areas as contributing to pollution and ecological damage. And still others just didn't like the idea of a free trade zone with Mexico. They worried about the implications for national sovereignty and the potential for economic disparities to widen. USMCA, a new deal, same old tensions. Fast forward to 2018. Remember that guy, Donald Trump? Yeah, he wasn't a huge fan of NAFTA. He called it the worst trade deal ever. To be fair, the man wasn't known for his nuanced opinions. Trump wanted a new deal, one that was fairer to the United States. After much negotiating and tweeting, the United States, Canada, and Mexico finally agreed on an updated version of NAFTA, the USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. The USMCA made some changes to NAFTA, but it wasn't a complete overhaul. So did the USMCA solve all the problems with NAFTA? Not exactly. It did address some concerns like rules for digital trade and labor standards. But many of the underlying tensions remained. America first and the cracks in the relationship. Remember that whole America first thing? Yeah, that didn't help things. Trump's protectionist policies like imposing tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada put a strain on the relationship. Canada, understandably, wasn't thrilled about being slapped with tariffs from its biggest trading partner. They retaliated with tariffs of their own, targeting American products like ketchup and bourbon. Yes, bourbon. Apparently, Canadians love their American whiskey. The America First approach created a climate of uncertainty and distrust between the two countries. It was like watching your parents argue. You just wanted them to stop, but deep down, you knew it wouldn't be the last time. 2025, the trade war explodes. Cut to 2025. The trade tensions that had been simmering for years finally boiled over. The issue? Electric vehicles. The US accused Canada of unfairly subsidizing its electric vehicle industry, putting American manufacturers at a disadvantage. Canada denied the accusations, but the US wasn't having it. They slapped tariffs on Canadian-made electric vehicles and batteries. Canada, once again, retaliated, targeting American-made solar panels and wind turbines, and just like that, the two countries were locked in a full-blown trade war. It was a lose-lose situation, hurting businesses and consumers on both sides of the border. The economic impact was severe, with no clear resolution in sight. The price we pay: economic fallout of the trade war. Trade wars are never pretty. They often lead to a cascade of economic challenges that ripple through various sectors of the economy, and the 2025 US-Canada trade war was no exception. This conflict, which started over disagreements on tariffs and trade policies, quickly escalated into a full-blown economic confrontation. The tariffs led to higher prices for consumers on both sides of the border. Everyday items from groceries to electronics saw significant price hikes, making it harder for families to make ends meet. Businesses faced increased costs and uncertainty, leading to job losses and slower economic growth. Many companies had to downsize or shut down entirely, leaving thousands of workers without jobs. The trade war also hurt key industries in both countries. Sectors that were once thriving found themselves struggling to stay afloat amidst the economic turmoil. The U.S. auto industry, already struggling, was hit hard by the tariffs on Canadian-made auto parts. Factories faced disruptions, and workers went on strike, demanding better conditions and job security. The Canadian lumber industry, a major employer in several provinces, faced significant challenges due to tariffs on softwood lumber. This led to mill closures and layoffs, affecting entire communities. Public opinion in both countries soured on the trade war. People began to question the benefits of such economic confrontations and demanded more diplomatic solutions. Canadians were frustrated by what they saw as bullying from their southern neighbor. Protests erupted, and the media was filled with headlines criticizing the trade policies. Americans felt the pain of higher prices and job losses. The economic strain was evident in communities across the country, with many calling for an end to the trade war and a return to more stable economic relations. Can this be fixed? The uncertain future of U.S.-Canada trade. The trade relationship between the United States and Canada has always been a cornerstone of both nations' economies. However, recent events have cast a shadow over this once stable partnership. So, where do we go from here? With tensions rising and policies shifting, the path forward is anything but clear. The future of the U.S.-Canada trade relationship is uncertain. Political and economic factors are creating a complex landscape that both countries must navigate carefully. The two countries have a long history of cooperation, but the recent trade war has left its mark. Tariffs and trade barriers have strained relations, making it difficult to return to the status quo. Some experts believe that the two countries can overcome their differences and rebuild trust. They argue that diplomacy and mutual interests will eventually prevail. They point to the deep economic ties and shared values between the U.S. and Canada. These experts highlight the benefits of collaboration and the potential for renewed partnerships. Others, however, are more pessimistic. They argue that the America First mentality has fundamentally changed the relationship. This inward-looking approach has led to policies that prioritize national interests over international cooperation. They believe that future trade disputes are inevitable. As long as protectionist policies remain in place, conflicts are likely to arise, affecting industries and consumers on both sides of the border. One thing is clear: the U.S. and Canada need each other. Despite the challenges, the interdependence of our economies cannot be ignored. We are each other's biggest trading partners, with billions of dollars in goods and services exchanged annually. This trade supports millions of jobs and drives innovation in both countries, and our economies are deeply intertwined. From automotive manufacturing to technology, the supply chains of our industries are closely linked. A strong U.S.-Canada relationship is essential for the prosperity of both countries. Moving forward, it will be crucial for leaders to find common ground and work together to ensure a stable and mutually beneficial trade environment.